What's poppin'? Welcome back to Midwest World. It's the Tubecast. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the content. Greatly appreciate it from everybody. You know what I'm saying? Greatly appreciate it from everybody. Appreciate everybody who comes back. Appreciate the newcomers. Appreciate the ones that agree. Appreciate the ones that don't agree. All that. Everything. You know what I mean? So, let's get to the topic at hand. Since the season, the NBA season, is coming down the pipeline. You know, that's coming soon. Probably what? Preseason start like what? I think September. I think the preseason start either the end of the month or October. I'll never be watching the preseason. So, you know what I mean? Like, I might actually watch the preseason this year. I don't know, man. I can't sit there and guarantee that because the preseason isn't great. It's not great quality basketball. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's like watching that is like, man, it's hard to watch it. Like, you may watch the last game of the preseason because that's where the starters will really get their reps in. They might play actually 3 quarters. Sometimes they'll play all of it, you know what I mean? But the preseason ain't really no good measuring stick, you know what I mean? It's really just for guys who is fighting for the last couple roster spots, or maybe, you know, they might get a contract overseas. They go back to the D or the G League or something, you know what I mean? So, whatever. But the state of the game, man, it's so bad. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, there's a lot of reasons why the game is bad like this. You know, times evolve, so I'm not going to say it's the money. You can say that. Like, I get that argument that it's the money, that people get lazy due to the money. I mean, I guess you could say that's part of the reason. That could be part of the reason. I'm not going to ignore that because, you know, it's like you work so hard to get the money, and then when they get the money, they feel like they can relax now. You know what I mean? Which is kind of backwards, you know what I mean? Like, you supposed to go harder to get more, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, once they get the money, it's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like working a job. If you worked a job back when you was younger, people want to call off payday. They don't want to come to work payday. But, you know what I'm saying? Not counting that next week, your check gonna be short because you missed that day. You know what I'm saying? So it is, you know, that's neither here nor there. But the reason why the game is the way it is I heard Andre Miller talking about this, and talking a little bit about this. He kind of referenced this about the trainers and players just, you know, a lot of individual workouts. And that's true, you know what I mean? You know, when I look at this, right? Now, me playing basketball, how I got better, I told y'all, I played with older dudes. Now, how I got better, I played with older dudes. I always played with dudes like twice my age. And a lot of that was due to my height, but I was a skinny guy when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, I was skinny in a mug. So it's like, I was getting beat up pretty much, not, you know, fist to cuffs, but like, you know, just dealing with mass, getting beat up in the paint. I can't move. So I had to learn how to navigate around that. I had to learn how to play 5-on-5 basketball because the NBA isn't one-on-one. Forget NBA, organized basketball isn't one-on-one. So for the life of me, and they mentioned something, you know, Matt Barnes mentioned, this is like, you learn all these moves you can't use in a regulation game, which is true. I've never understood this. Like, you can't use all that fancy stuff in the regulation game. And if you look at a guy like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and those guys, Steph Curry and all of them, if you really watch, they got the fundamentals. Now, yes, some of that stuff, they do sometimes get away with traveling, but everybody gets away with traveling in the league. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. But if you look at how they play, they have the fundamental foundation down. You can't just go in there doing what James Harden and Kyrie Irving does. A person will look at Kyrie Irving like, oh, man, look at Kyrie's foot placement. Look how he's handling the ball. Look at the steps. Look at all that. Fundamentals first, then he put his twist to it. A lot of these guys not even trying to learn the fundamentals first before they start adding to it. It's like you got to learn the job first before you start trying to do what you want to do with it. You know what I mean? But you always got to dial back to the fundamentals to get to where, because the fundamentals get you where you got to go. The fancy stuff, no, the fundamentals get you to where you got to go. Knowing angles, you know what I'm saying? Knowing all that gets you to where you got to go. You have to be a student of the game. A lot of these guys, it's on some like, all this is good for like, if there was street, like if N1 was still cracking and all that, they'd be great for N1. You know what I'm saying? I know there's street ball leagues out like that, but it's not hitting like N1 used to, you know what I mean? But all that individual stuff is for things like that. When you play organized basketball, where you got positions, okay? You got, you know what I mean? You got plays to be ran. You got to know your roles. None of that stuff flies. You don't have time enough to even do that. You know what I mean? You have to get to your position. Oh, I got to set this screen, cut back up. You got to know all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got to know, man, listen, basketball is a complicated but lovely game. And it's not about the one-on-one, okay? It's not about the one-on-one, all right? So I don't know if the league will ever get back to that. That's why the Europeans is coming in cooking, because they play the game the right way. If you look at any EuroLeague basketball game, I've seen some, because I have I have a box, you know what I'm saying, so I can watch that stuff. So I don't watch some EuroLeague stuff. And the thing is, they play the game beautifully. Everybody play their role, pick and roll screens. Nobody wasting dribbles, all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they still play the game the right way. Hence to why they coming over to the league, kind of taking our stuff over, man. And that's not good. That's not good. It's slowly becoming the fact that we may not have the best players in the world, in the league. Now, this is the thing. See, back in the day when they was getting players, you know, a lot of the times is different. So I'm not about to sit there and knock these young cats for having certain things, you know what I mean, that we didn't have. That's some hating stuff. I'm not going to do that. But the fact is, you know, we didn't have things that are disposed like these young guys got. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that. You know, we didn't have YouTube. You could pull up and really just watch footage. You had to record games on a VHS tape and watch it. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. You know, we didn't have a bunch of gyms you can go to. You had to go outside in the park and play, things like that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have all these things. We had to go out there and get it on some rugged type stuff. These kids don't have, but which to me is like, you should even be way better than what, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got all this at your disposal. You know, as a kid, I wish I had an iPad to be able to study, you know what I'm saying? A guy like Michael Jordan, or a guy like, you know, guys like Scottie Pippen and things like that, or just even other, you know what I'm saying? I wish I had something like that. You didn't have that. They can study the game all day if they want to, you know what I'm saying? And I just don't understand, like, why the game has went to this, you know what I mean? Because the point guard, there's roles. A point guard is a distributor, okay? A distributor first, extension of the coach. That's what his role is, you know what I'm saying? That's what his role is. You know, scoring's supposed to come secondary to last for a point guard. Not saying you can't score, but you're supposed to be feeding everybody else. The two guard's supposed to be your main scorer off the dribble, you know what I'm saying? That's what he's supposed to do. Your three is supposed to be your Swiss Army knife. He's supposed to be able to kind of do a little bit of everything, you know what I'm saying? The four, you're supposed to patrol that 15-foot area, rebound, do everything the center do, but you're supposed to have a little more skill in him, you know what I'm saying? Rebound, you know, block shots, you know, be able to hit the elbow, you know what I'm saying? Trying to kind of guard the 3 to 4 and sometimes the 5. And the center, you already know the center is supposed to man the paint. That's how the game should be played, and the game was better that way. You know what I'm saying? Now you got all, now no one knows they role. Everybody trying to do this. Some people sit there and say, well, yeah, the game is more skilled now. I don't know about that, because the thing is this, you know, if you take one of these modern teams in its totality, yeah, the moves look good. And mind you, I lived through both eras here. You know what I'm saying? I'm coherent to know what was happening in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? In the 2000s to now. I know exactly what was happening because I was watching. You know what I mean? You take a team now and place them against a team in the 90s, they would not be able to deal with that. And I'm not even gonna say the physical side of things, just the things they was doing. Backdoor screens, you know what I'm saying? All the cutting, you know what I mean? Getting to your spot, 3 dribbles, all that. Go back and watch basketball. Just go watch film and footage. I know it don't look sexy in the young guys' eyes, but look at how fast the game was back then. They talk about how fast the game is now. Go look how it was back then. Just look at some footage. Watch a game, you know what I'm saying? And look how fast it was. There was no wasting the dribbles or nothing. The ball moving, swinging, hard defense, no nonsense basketball. You didn't see no fancy stuff like that. Get to your spot in 2 to 3 dribbles. You know what I'm saying? Swing straight. There is no hole in the rock, and you're not going to be able to get away with that with defenses of the past. They're going to shut all that down. You're not going to be able to do all that. Now, I do believe that Kyrie, he can get off. Kyrie is a very skilled basketball player. See, people just look at the flash, and they don't look how he uses his body to get people off of him. They don't look at none of that. You know what I'm saying? They look at the flash. Kyrie uses his body to get you up off of him, along with the sick dribbles. You know what I'm saying? Like Kyrie is a very physical player, dog. You know what I'm saying? So you look at a Kyrie and it's like, dog, he's kind of physical, fam. That's a physical dude, man. So he can get off on the old. There's dudes that can get off on the old school, like Kevin Durant. He can get off on the old school. Now, once you start pushing him, hand checking them and all that, I don't know. You know what I mean? But there's some guys that can get off, but the game, I think the game is too far gone. And the players that's coming up for today, they don't want to watch the old school because they don't respect it. And they don't respect it. You know what I mean? It's almost like hip hop, where they don't respect the artists of the past. And you look at where that is. That's where basketball is about to be looking like hip hop in a minute, like the current state of hip hop. Basketball is going down that path because you're looking at these players. It's like, it's bad whenever you got the European players coming in taking over your league. And I'm not saying it like that's a bad thing, but they don't allow us to come over there and take over their league. You got to get with the program. They over here creating the program. That's crazy. That should not be the case. You look at Nikola Jokic, right? I like Jokic. I think Jokic is fire. But with the centers of the past, can he get off any of that with the centers? No. We're not even going to play these games. He's not going to be able to bring the ball up the court. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be able to get away with them slow post moves. None of that. They're going to putting the ball on the floor against them guards back in the day is not happening, fam. It's not happening. That ball getting snatched immediately. You know what I'm saying? They gonna corner him. It's not like it's just real. And listen, these guys got some nice offensive abilities. They do. Team-wise, no, not so much. If you watch basketball now, it is not a good product. The Thunder was a breath of fresh air outside of Shea's foul baiting. That's a breath of fresh air because they seem to be built the right way. Now, it's not all the way like I would prefer, you know what I mean? But they built the right way, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, for today's standard, they are built the right way, you know what I mean? But the thing is, I don't know, man, because it's really based on now the coaching styles now and what they're teaching these kids coming up. You got all these AAU leagues. You got these individual trainers out here teaching them this, that, and the third. You don't see no 5-on-5 play at all. They all just work out alone, and that's not going to work in a 5-on-5 setting. You know what I'm saying? They're not learning plays. They're not learning how to do certain things and move without the ball. They're not learning none of that stuff. It's all individual work. That does not work. It's more to the game than just scoring. Yes, you have to score to win, but you have to be able to stop somebody. You got to be able to alter shots. You got to be able to do all kind of things. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, man, listen. Look, it's not like, and listen, big salute to the trainers out there doing their thing. Big salute to you getting your skill up. But with that, you should be learning the 5-on-5 game too. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to do it all the way. Don't just do that. Learn the 5-on-5 stuff. Learn defense. Do we see any? I mean, I'm quite sure it's defensive drills, but they don't never show that. You know what I'm saying? You know, they don't never show off the defensive drills. They only show off the offensive drills. You know what I'm saying? What about defense? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much more to the game than what's shown. It's a little frustrating. You know what I mean? Just to see this, it's like, come on, man. So that's why the game looked like this. You know, everybody want to shoot threes that are not supposed to shoot threes. You know, the one thing that gets on my nerves the most is when I see a center shooting a three, man. And listen, and it's not about stopping your shine. It's about knowing your role, because we trying to win here. This is not about your individual stat line. You know what I'm saying? This is not about your individual stat line. This is a 5-on-5 team here. We trying to win We trying to win and go far in the season. So everybody got to know their role, and you got to kind of take ego out of the situation. And I get, in order to get to a league, you got to have some sort of an ego. You know what I'm saying? You got to believe you great, and that's fine. But you got to put your ego to the side if you go win a championship. Point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? It's not about your selfish stat line. You know what I mean? Because any real scout or any real, whatever the case is, that's looking at players, no, you can still get paid, you know what I mean, by playing your role correctly. Oh, you can get paid. It's not, they get so blinded by that. You know what I mean? You can still get paid playing your role correctly and making. So if you worried about the money, dog, if you're a valuable asset to a team because you play your role right, you're going to always get paid. You're going to always get paid. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have a longer career by playing your role. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? So a center, man, right now, the center position is wide open in the NBA for the taking. If there was I'm going to say 6'11" to 7'1" guy, I'm going to say it like this, a 6'11" to 7'1" guy who played old school, right? Really play old school, watch like guys like Patrick Ewing, Shaq, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. If they watched that and really studied that and took that, dude will be a force, you know what I mean? Because these dudes don't even want to play like that. Man, listen, if I found me a 7'1" dude, like, hey man, listen, watch this footage. If I was coaching high school, for example, and I had a student that's about, say what, 6'10", 6'11", it's sometimes 7 foot in high school, but I'm gonna say that, probably grow to 7 foot in college. Be like, look here, man, let me tell you something. You can run, you could be one of the best players in the world, dog. If you go back and look at the footage right here, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you lift them weights, get them squats right, you know what I'm saying? Put you in that gym. And I'm talking about strength lifting, you know what I'm saying? Also get the cardio going, but straight up strength lifting. You know what I mean? We're going to develop that skill, that back to the basket skill, get you about 4 unstoppable moves, and you rising every time. And then your box out game, this dude would be #1 draft pick, man. They're not going to turn that down. I don't care what nobody say. They're not going to turn that down. If a young player came out like that, 7 foot, 270 is straight muscle, you know what I mean? Supreme footwork down low, good shot blocking timing, you know what I'm saying? That got a good base that he can shut down the post. Then he got about 4 unstoppable moves, nice up fakes, rise up, dunk, dog. He will be #1 draft pick, 100%. Because he won't be stopped in the league. Because no one plays like that. You get you a nasty big man like that, he will be #1, and that'll be the first step of bringing it back to normalcy. You know what I'm saying? You man, listen. I'll be salivating, dog, if I was a coach and seeing somebody walking around my hallways like that. Like, hold, wait a minute. Hey, man, listen, you know what I mean? Don't let it be college, man, listen. But I don't know why they want to, I'm not going to say it's the Warriors. A lot of people blame the Warriors. You got to understand, that's like an anomaly, dog. You can't, when you got a shooter like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, those guys, how many people shoot that good? How many? Like, those are aliens when it comes to shooting the ball. You know what I'm saying? They was built a certain way for them. Everybody can't emulate that. And when they talk about Steph Curry 3-point shooting, do you know how much he practices this? Like, Steph is not no young cat. His father was in the league, you know what I'm saying? He grew up and seen the work ethic, you know what I'm saying? He put in work. He wasn't just launching threes. Nah, Steph knows the game. He has a high IQ. You know what I'm saying? He put in work to be able to do stuff like that. He don't just fling it just cause. No, he's flinging it because he know he can make it. Because that's what he practices on. That stuff you don't see off cam. Know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's a lot of, like, the game is so wide open for, like, I'm not going to say it's easy. It'll be easy. But these dudes are trying to shoot so many, like, the way the game is, which is soft now, I'm going to say it is soft. You know what I mean? All it takes is a couple dudes to come in like that. come to come in like that, it'll switch that fast. It'll switch that fast playing on the inside out game. You know what I mean? And like I said, the point guard. You know, you get you a real deal point guard. You think they gonna pass that up and be like, no, he too much of a point guard. I can't draft him, or I can't pick him. I can't give him a scholarship because he get people involved too much. You know how dumb that sound? Like, yeah, he passes the ball too much and get people in their spots too much. You know what I'm saying? He helping too many people score here. He's too much of an extension of the coach. So therefore, I'm not gonna give him a contract. You hear how ridiculous that sound? Think about that. They're not gonna pass that up, man. You get these guys to study Jason Kidd, Rajon Rondo, John Stockton, things like that. You know what I mean? Dog. First of all, the coach will love him before everybody else. Like, oh my God, you're making my job a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? Then the players, when they find out, like, man, I can get to my spots easy. All I gotta do is move without the ball. Like, come on, son. Like, man, like, so the key of getting the game back to normalcy is the point guard in the center position. The two guard, I mean, they supposed to score anyway. Now with a two guard, you know, I would highly recommend you work on your defense as well, because just as much as you can score, you got to stop somebody. You know what I'm saying? You got to stop the two. And the two, that's a hard position to stop, because those are usually the guys that are the elite scorers, honestly. Now when they went down to the point guard, but the point guard ain't nothing but a combo guard. They're really a two guard that's playing the point guard because of their height. You know what I mean? But you got to be able to stop the two. So to be even more official, work on that defense just as much as you work on that offense. Yeah, it's going to be hard, but hey, you want to be a lockdown defender right along as as being an elite scorer. You know what I mean? So the key to bringing the game back, like I said, is the point guard position and the center position, because the small forward, that's kind of like how they play now anyway. Like Scotty, he'd fit right in today's game because he did a little bit of everything anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Lamar Odom, guys like that. You know what I mean? So nothing wrong with those positions. The four, you know, that one, that's a little tricky because you had guys like Dirk Nowitzki, Rasheed Wallace, you know, guys like that who could shoot the ball. You know what I'm saying? So, but it wasn't that many fours that was cut like that, but still, you know, if you mention fours can't shoot, then the first person somebody to bring up, well, Dirk, you know what I'm saying? It's like, look, man, Dirk, that's a rare case, man. Like, you could say Larry Bird, he could probably play the 4 and the 3. He played both, I believe, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's a handful of dudes, you know what I mean? So, the 4, that Kevin Garnett, look, that's the perfect way to play the 4. Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, those two guys. You know what I'm saying? That's the ideal 4. Now, she can play like Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan too. Now, don't get it twisted. He was just as skilled as those guys. You know what I mean? He just wasn't as efficient. He was as skilled though. She was dope. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad he got a championship. You know what I mean? But she was fire. He wasn't as, man, he was just as skilled, man. He just had a temper on to where that right there can mess him up a little bit, but he was just as skilled as those guys. He's sitting at the table with a Tim Duncan and a Kevin Garnett. Also, you know, a guy like Chris Webber. You know, you look at those guys. That's how you want your 4 to be modeled, like around that. That's the perfect way to have your 4 modeled like that, right? So, man, listen. It's in control of who's teaching the game for the game to go back to normalcy. It's about what they promoting, you know what I mean, and things like that. So these kids growing up seeing this, I can't necessarily blame the kids necessarily for how the game is, but you have knowledge at your disposal here. So in a sense, you can blame them a little bit, because it's like, dog, you're not even going back to look to see how the game was played for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff here is not how the game really is supposed to be played. You go back and look at the golden years of the 90s and the 2000s, then you will see, you know, how the game was really played. You know what I mean? So, and if you go back and pick from those guys, you will be dominant in today's game because the game is soft. Straight up, the game is straight soft. You know what I mean? So that's just what it is. But I mean, I think it all falls into the lap of really the coaches and what they teaching, you know what I'm saying? And things like that, you know? So if you got coaches out here that's like, no, we gonna play like this. This is what, and really enforce them roles, I think it can reverse. It's gonna take a while though. It's gonna take a minute, you know what I'm saying? But it can reverse, man. But it's all on the coaches and things like that, you know what I mean? If they don't enforce it, it'll never happen, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the content. Really appreciate it from everybody. Peace.